Welcome back everyone. Throughout the 2023-24 NBA season, the Lakers had a lot of underachievement from their role players. Definitely not all of them, but probably more than they would have liked. And if you individually compared what they did during this season compared to prior ones, then you will find that nobody declined more than Christian Wood, who went from averaging over 15 points per game for 3 straight years, to then averaging under 7. And not only that, but shooting a career low from the 3-point line, along with his second worst field goal percentage. Now, you definitely could point to a guy like Gabe Vincent here as well, but that more so came down to him being hurt. And while Christian Wood dealt with his own fair share of injury, it was not anywhere close to what Vincent dealt with, and it really came down to him underperforming. Now, don't get me wrong, I think he could and likely will have a rebound year if they keep him around, though I'm not sure they want to rely on that happening, and especially with their other backup center, Jackson Hayes, potentially leaving as a free agent. And with that in mind here, they could really benefit from finding one more reliable option, and preferably with one that can provide what neither of them can, which in my opinion is reliable rim protection, along with simply being a disciplined defender. The only problem here is that you typically cannot find that for cheap, and with the Lakers having literally zero cap room to work with, the biggest contract they have to offer will only be worth around $5 million, which they likely don't want to offer a backup center. And if that turns out to be true, which it very likely will be, then they will once again have to go bargain hunting. Now, that might sound like a bad thing, but I for one think there are a number of good options for them, and we're going to talk about 2 of them in today's video, both of which are defensive minded, and that most importantly, are very likely going to be within their price range. Before we get too far into it though, if you are looking for a place to talk about the NBA playoffs, or even vent about the Lakers, then don't forget to check out our NBA Discord. We have a live game chat, a daily discussion board, and much more to talk about everything NBA and Lakers related. Or if you don't have Discord, then feel free to follow me on Twitter to hear my thoughts on what's going on around the NBA. There will be a link for both of them in the video description down below. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And like I mentioned before, the Lakers have little to nothing to offer in terms of money, which will mean the top tier centers will very likely ignore them, including guys like Isaiah Hartenstein, Nick Claxton, and even a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, all of which will be beyond their price range. And well, that'll leave them looking for a more affordable option, which might not be a bad thing if they look hard enough. And like I referred to before, there are 2 of them that I have my eyes on, the first of which being Goga Bitadze. A 24-year-old backup center, Bitadze is coming off the best year of his young career, averaging about 5 points, 5 rebounds, and over 1 block shot per game in only a little over 15 minutes per game. And while that might not jump off the page at you, there is quite a bit of underlying value here. And in order to find it, you need to look back on what he did while the Magic were playing without Wendell Carter Jr., which led to Goga Bitadze taking his spot in their starting lineup. And throughout that 34-game time frame, he put up over 7 points, over 7 rebounds, nearly 2 blocked shots, and then a career-high 61% from the field. Not only that though, but he had the highest plus-minus rating of anybody on their team that played over 500 minutes throughout that time frame, really telling you about the value that he brought their team. And the foundation of that value was without a doubt his rim protection. I know we tend to get caught up in blocked shots per game, but that's really not the important part here. Sure, they definitely make a difference, but they will never tell you the full story about a player's defense. You can be a great shot blocker but still be a poor defender. I mean, look at Mo Bamba for example. Though that did not happen to be the case for Goga Bitadze. If we look a little bit deeper, which we'll begin with by looking at advanced stats, you will find that Bitadze ranked as the 34th most impactful defender in the entire league per defensive BPM, right above Anthony Davis. Now, keep in mind that the team the player plays for will definitely influence that rating, which is why he ranked above Anthony Davis for example, but it does tell you about individual player impact. And the only other guy on their team that ranked higher than he did happened to be Jalen Suggs, a guy that is very likely to make an all-defensive team. And with that in mind here, the defensive impact of Goga Bitadze cannot be overlooked. He literally held down their paint defense while they played without Wendell Carter Jr., another very good defender by the way. And for a backup big man playing for a minimum level contract, you will not find that very often. And the even better part is that it largely went overlooked, or at least better for a team like the Lakers anyway, who might be able to take advantage of it. Simply put, they are not going to find a backup center that can make that kind of impact for that price. Christian Wood will not come anywhere close, and then while I think Jackson Hayes took a step in the right direction, he definitely cannot make that kind of impact either. Now again, you do need to have good point of attack defense to begin with, but a guy like Goga Bitadze can clean up a lot of mess around the rim, and I was really impressed with how well he moved around down there. Gone are the days of big men who cannot move their feet. With all the high pick and roll play, along with switching on defense that goes on nowadays, you need to be able to move your feet, even if we're talking about a center. and that does in fact apply to Goga Bitadze. Now, I'm not saying that he can defend a point guard or anything like that, but he is mobile enough to make the occasional switch, and that definitely quick enough to recover around the rim. And that played a big part in him averaging nearly 3 blocked shots per 36 minutes. And although he might not be able to provide much offensively, he can fill the role of a lob threat, along with being a pretty damn good offensive rebounder too. So they would not be losing much if they would opt to replace Hayes with Goga Bitadze. And then when you factor in the improvement on defense, I would definitely take him over either one of Hayes or Wood. Though unfortunately, there does happen to be a chance that he'll be retained by the Orlando Magic, or maybe paid more by a different team. And if that turns out to be true, then I think another great bargain option for them would be Xavier Tillman. Now, I know some people still think it's 1990 and a center has to be 7 feet tall and weigh 285 plus, but that does not happen to be true for the modern NBA. Sure, there might be a time and place for that kind of player still, though a very rare one at this point, but the most valuable attribute for a center would have to be defensive versatility. And well, there are not very many that more of it than Xavier Tillman. Going back to that defensive EPM rating that I talked about before, Tillman came as the 13th most impactful defender in the entire league. And unlike Goga Bitadze, he did not play the entire year with a top 5 defense. Rather, he spent over half of it with Memphis, who despite finishing 13th, they ranked in the bottom 10 after trading him away, which really tells you about his impact on defense. You might not think he'd be that impactful, but he definitely is. And like I referred to before, a whole lot of it comes down to his defensive versatility, being able to both switch on defense, along with being able to protect the rim as well. And not only by blocking shots, but having good enough hands to strip the ball away too. Not very common for a big, but Tillman averaged about 2 steals per 36 minutes, which put him at 2nd in the entire league among bigs. And not to mention they averaged about 2 blocks per 36 minutes to go along with it. Again, he might only be about 6'8", but he makes up for it with a tremendous 7'2" wingspan, along with having a sturdy 250 plus pound frame, and then of course being quick enough to move his feet, which is really the golden triad when it comes to versatility among bigs, and Tillman definitely has it. And while he might end up getting paid more than a minimum level contract, I would like to think that between the two of them, one of them will end up getting overlooked, which unfortunately for them, might lead to them taking a veteran minimum, or somewhere very close to it. Again, not great for them, but it could be great for a team like the Lakers, who I think should be closely monitoring both of them. I mean, if we're talking about legitimate value here, which we are, then you would be hard pressed to find a more valuable backup big than either one of them. They vastly outplayed their contracts, though due to them not being great 3-point shooters nor getting much of any playing time during the postseason, that might lead to them going overlooked, and largely undervalued too, and I for one would try to take advantage of it. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the option of Goga Bitadze or Xavier Tillman for a new backup center? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.